already. I'm good.
Welcome to Trivial Debates.
Welcome to this monthly edition of Trivial Debates, the ultimate pulp culture challenge. We here have some awesome new debates this month. Now, each week, our panelists will be judged and scored on their arguments for facts, passion, and creativity. Our panelists are Chris,
Yay!
Jody, and Adam.
Hey guys.
I love the enthusiasm. It's palpable. Now, how our show works. Now, there'll be 6 rounds plus a speed round by which our top 2 panelists will compete in subjects ranging from movies, television, music, sports, history, and a wild card round. Now, we want people to be passionate and personally mean to each other, or as much as possible.
It's funny. I said the exact same thing when I hosted.
To add on that, I do not accept quitting at all.
Chris,
So,
Seymour.
I don't quit.
defend your point. Be passionate about it and be strong. Compete to the very end. You never know. Now, keep in mind, you can also skip to a new debate by looking at the timeline indexes in the description and going to the battles that interest you the most. Now, remember to follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, Super Meta Brothers, and Trivial Debates specifically. Trivial Debates. Right. Now, all links and information can be found in the description. Now, make sure you check out our other podcasts as well, and we'll repeat this at the end because it makes no sense for you to listen about it now. You're not going to jump to them. You're going to be watching this right now, and then afterwards, at the very end, you're like, I want more content, and we will give it to you.
Good call. Good call.
Good call. Okay. All righty. Are you all excited about this? I am.
Woo! Oh, so excited. So excited.
All right. Let's get to our first question, to which I have to pull up. You think I would have it right in front of me. No, it makes sense. Okay. That's a speed round questions.
What did I say?
Our first question is going to be based upon movie. Now, what movie best represents 2020? Now, let's first start off with our video in question, Chris.
All right, let's go here. So we all know 2020 has been quite the year. None of us have been allowed to go outside that much. We haven't been able to do anything. So the movie I chose, oddly enough, I won with this one in a TV category a little while ago. I chose The Mist by Stephen King. The reason I chose this movie is because everybody is locked inside during this movie. And all they know is if they go outside, they're going to die. That's kind of how I feel in 2020 right now. I feel like if I go outside, there's a chance that I'm going to die. You go outside, you see everyone wearing masks right now. There's no certainty. Nobody in the movie, The Mist, really understood what was outside, what was going on. They just knew that quarantining was the best thing to do. They had to stay inside that supermarket pretty much, and I'm sure anyone else in the world was also staying inside their houses. What is amazing that this movie actually does reflect 2020 is because we are all waiting for the government to come in, step in, and fix this all for us. What happens at the end of The Mist? The government comes in, clears out all the problems. The government finally comes, they send in the army, and everything is solved. And that's what we're waiting for.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for your response. You did in a minute. Good job. We'll move on to the second contestant, which is Jody.
I'm the third contestant, but that's all right. I picked a movie called Idiocracy, which is a 2006 American science fiction comedy made by Mike Judge of obviously Office Space and King of the Hill fame. This movie stars Luke Wilson, which is literally the most boring guy imaginable that you can have. But the whole point of the movie is he is picked to be part of a experiment to essentially freeze people. Whatever the hell you call that. But anyway, cryogenics. He wakes up 500 years later to a world where essentially commercialism has run rampant, and the government really has no idea. Like, the government's run by like a stripper, and it just kind of I can kind of relate to how stupid everybody looks in this movie because of the fact that literally I see people walking around right now, protesting wearing a mask because, that is such a, terrible thing to have to do in life compared to the alternative killing people. Everything about this movie screams everybody is just so stupid now. And I guess in a way that's a reflection of how I feel this entire year has gone, including seeing how, on the world stage, how people, especially certain leaders of certain countries that are south of me, have managed to take a pandemic and just wildly make everybody look so stupid, and everybody is just stupid about the entire thing. So that's the reason why I picked that one, because it's just terrible.
Right. Great job, contestant number 3. And now moving on to contestant number 2, because we're doing things all out of order. It's crazy. Adam, please tell us your entry.
Hey, Jaemeel. Okay, I picked the 2020 film, 2000 film called Castaway, starring Tom Hanks. The reason I picked this film, in the parallel to 2020, when you think about how the characters were introduced, working in just a busy life. He's got a busy life, girlfriend, never a time for relationships. All he's really focused on is the work. But it's amazing to see during the plane crash in that movie how fast just things can fall apart, because he's got his life, and then he's on a deserted island, only survivor, and has to really adapt and make the best of it. And you can see how quickly he's a problem solver. He's working by himself. He's isolated, and he's trying to really make it through. And you can see, just like we do in this world, and I'm not speaking for my other contestants, but I believe it would be true, is that you go through ebbs and flows and your ups and downs, and you feel some days depressed and some days elated. But ultimately, while we're discovering all new things about ourselves, but it's the relationships that get you going, get you through this crap. And at the end of it, he was rescued, but he got himself off that island. And but again, the relationships that he developed and what he saw as personally uplifting to him got him through it. And I believe we're going to get there just another 6 or 8 months, and we'll be through this.
Okay, thank you for your entry. All right. So before I have a free-for-all, I just want to kind of pair up and have an argument between both Chris and Adam on your choices, because there's a lot of similarities. Can both of you debate? Why is one better than the other?
Well, Adam, I like your movie in that it has a lot to do with isolation. But that is about one man and who makes a friend with a friggin' volleyball. My movie is more. It's more about It's not family oriented, but it's about people being quarantined together, being stuck in a situation, being scared to go outside. I mean, Castaway was a great movie, but he wasn't scared to go outside. He was outside all the time. He wasn't scared of a pandemic. He wasn't scared of getting killed out there. He was lonely, yes, but I don't think it represents the pandemic and the fact that we're looking for the government to come and save us as much as my movie does.
Okay, your movie was a good choice too. However, unrealistic and not true. Here's the difference: is that yes, it's about one man, but one man who had to conquer his own demons. And let's face it, Chris, there's a lot of mental health issues out there right now, and people are trying to survive and trying to develop things that work for them. I mean, myself even, this year I learned how to skateboard at 49 years old, and I joined podcasting. My God. And these are two of the best things that are happening to me right now. I look so forward to these nights. Why? Because it's new, it's exciting, it keeps me something different that I've never done before. I think it's just a little more realistic to this. I do believe while I love The Mist, I love the story, the actual written one, and I love the adaptations. I found it a little extreme to where you're going here, because you step out the door, you're dead in that story. There's no living.
Okay.
Well,
thank you guys. Thank you guys for your initial statements. Thank you very much. Jody, can you please compare your movie to their movies, please?
I think both of them went for the isolation type environment, where I was kind of looking more to the socialized version of the events that are happening around us. The pandemic is real, all that. And I have to give props to Chris, because quite honestly, I never would have thought he would have came up with that for this question. But, both of them are very good picks. I understand where they're coming from when it comes to the subject at hand, and obviously 2020 as a reflection. My movie, I feel, is just a little bit more of the social aspect of things. Social media is just buzzing with videos of idiots doing stupid things that is basically threatening their entire population. Stuff like that, and that's kind of where I wanted to kind of go with mine. Adams, I understand, is more of an isolation kind of thing. What happens when your world just completely goes upside down, which is really what Castaway is about, I think. Again, very, very good reflection. I think all three are very good picks. Do I think mine is superior? Depends on how you look at the angle. But overall, I think it's a nice way of criticizing what's happening in the world and how people are responding, especially when you look at the they call them COVIDiots. The guy recently who decided to open his store in protest. Stuff like that. All these stupid choices, which are what you're seeing.
All right.
Here, so
thank you very much, Jody. Okay, Chris, can you go ahead and rebut your two points that people have brought against you? You have about 20 seconds.
I don't think there's any bad points against my movie. I think that Jody admitted that it was a good pick. I also think it best represents the year, because the question was, what movie best represents the year 2020? I mean, Jody's movie is about cryogenics, so this takes 500 years. This does not represent 1 year.
not even close. But anyway,
Castaway. Well, you said it.
That was the cause, not the effect. You totally missed that.
Okay,
movie.
Adam?
That's what you think it's about.
Adam, can you rebut, please?
I'm rebutting on no data here because I didn't hear anybody. Unfortunately, something blanked out. So, listen, I'm not giving up here, but I can tell you, I think you got to look at something that's more personal to everybody. And I think the personal story of Castaway really takes that into account, of the individualism, the isolationism, and the love and the relationships that you have when you can get out of this, that brings you there. I mean, both movies these guys talked about are great. I just personally, Jaemeel, feel I feel what Tom Hanks' character Chuck Nolan, went through in that. He got to get out of it. You definitely have low days. You have good days, but you got to get out of it.
Okay, thank you. And please, Jody, wrap us up. I'll give you a couple of seconds to kind of close it out.
If you think my movie is about cryogenics, you're wrong. It's actually about the socialism and as well as the things that happen when herd mentality takes over. As for Adam's pick, I feel it is a strong pick. I think we all feel that isolation sometimes. To me, I look at the bad more than the good that's going on right now. And right now, all I'm seeing mostly are stories about people being stupid and defiant, and that's really what's causing this to drag out.
Okay, thank you very much. I made my decision. first off, great job. This is a great opening round. Everyone was very civil. Like kudos, even
Weird.
despite the lengthy, time in terms of our debating. But Jody, I'm actually not going to give this to you. You got knocked out pretty early. I didn't think that you came hard enough in terms of describing your movie. So it was
Trying to be polite.
it's really up to Chris and Adam. Both of you did great jobs in terms of describing your points. Adam, you really did a great job in the latter part as well, kind of describing the situation. But no one really knocked Chris at all, and I was quite surprised. Came out really strong. So, Chris, you get this first point.
Woohoo! On the board.
Okay.
He is only one.
Here's only one. There's a lot more game to go, folks. All right, we're going on to TV. I'm sorry.
The squirrel finds a nut once in a while, Jaemeel.
All right. Lord, you got to keep those zingers for your answers, man.
Oh, I got plenty. You should know that by now.
TV. What movie flop could find success with a TV adaptation? And we are going to start off with contestant number 2, which is Adam.
Hello. Okay, I picked the movie Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it's pretty damn good. I think in 2014 it was actually voted one of the best pictures of the year, and was actually talked about a decade. Now, I think, just let me get my notes here. Sorry, I wasn't ready on that page. Okay, so budget was 13.3 million. It grossed 7.3 domestically, so it really did flop. Good cast, great storytelling. Let me just outline it for you here. Basically, it starts in Scotland with following the characters played by Scarlett Johansson, who goes and picks up guys and brings them home, and sort of a dilapidated house, takes them into the house and draws them in, and she starts stripping her clothes off, and the guys do as well, and then they sort of sink into what can be best described as a black void. Through the movie, you determine that she's extraterrestrial. There's no real sexual relationship, just the stripping part there. But the guys go into and just basically hang in sort of an ether, just a liquid, and we're not really sure what's happening there. This continues through the movie, but the coolest thing here is that she starts developing sort of not a consciousness, but some curiosity about humans, and wants to know more. And she eats a cake or a pie or something in a bake shop, and she gags, and anyway, great movie.
Okay, thank you for your entry. Under the Skin, and we're now going to contestant number 3. Jody, can you please give us your answer?
Certainly, Jaemeel. Give me a second. I just got to bring my notes up here. So the movie that I picked was a very big commercial failure, which is Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. This is a series of comics that actually focused on a whole bunch of things. This was a movie that they essentially made for 190 million, and it didn't make anything close to that back. The reason why I think it would actually go into a good TV is the amount of content that is available. It basically follows Valerian, which is a classic hero type. Strong, brave, follows the orders of his superiors all the time, that type of thing. He gets assigned a partner, Laurelyn, which basically she's very intelligent, she's determined, very independent, and of course, she's a nice looking lady. I think the reason why it would actually translate really well into a TV show is the amount of content that's available. It's a space opera, but it has the ability to see all different types of aliens. They go everywhere all the time, kind of thing. Which to me, kind of reeks of, your Star Trek-esque type stuff. Not obviously even your Star Wars stuff with the resurgency of some of that. So I think, from a TV aspect, I think it's something that you could easily adapt and also get a lot of content to keep you going for those many series to follow with it.
Okay, thank you very much. Valerian. And going back to contestant number 1, do you have your notes ready?
I don't have any notes, but I don't need them.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the movie I chose was Solo, a Star Wars story. We all know this movie. I'm sure we've all seen this movie. It was a huge flop for Disney. But as with anything in the Star Wars franchise, I think as a TV show, this would make a killing. Think about it. You got Han Solo back in his days when he was what was he? He was a. I don't want to call him a villain. He was a thief. He was a thief. But you've got Chewbacca. We know how well the Mandalorian has done with Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is all over the friggin' internet right now. Imagine if there's a Solo TV show. We got Han Solo and Chewie and
Oh no. Oh no.
Wait, let him finish.
Did he actually finish?
way more.
And he's gone. All right.
Okay. Let's
It's good because I was going to chew the shit out of him, so that's fine.
let's producer, are we gonna wait and kind of see if he can reconnect and finish his statement?
Yeah, we should give him a chance, but I think you can start the rebuttal discussion now. If you feel like there was enough you got from that. Here, he's trying to connect right now.
Okay. Jody, can you please, Jody and Adam, can you please debate yours? Okay, Chris, are you able to finish your statement?
I'm not sure where I finished off.
You were kind of.
You're comparing it to the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yes, because the Mandalorian has Baby Yoda. Imagine if Chewie and Hans go to like the Wookiee planet and there's suddenly a baby Chewie. This would be all over the internet. This would be like the cutest damn thing ever. Okay.
Can I talk? Can I stop right there?
Okay.
Chris,
Do it.
Go
hold
ahead.
on a second.
Because I'm going to rip him if you don't.
Yeah. I was in on Solo, okay? But once you start going to freaking Wookiees and little Ewoks, this is the absolute worst part of Star Wars.
The worst part of Star Wars is the Ewoks.
The baby root or Ewoks, it became crap. And I loved Return of Jedi until Endor, and it just, for me, that movie, that was half the
movie.
Yeah, I know.
And that was not a box office flop. That made a ton of money. And I'm not talking about an Ewoks movie. I'm talking about...
Yeah, okay, so you're basically telling us that you want a kids show, developed for TV.
Star Wars is a kids show. Let's face it. We all like it as adults, but
Solo has so much potential as an adult show. You could get in the whole criminology part of it, the whole background, oh my gosh, you could have it's like a crime syndicate. It's fantastic. The possibilities for good TV are amazing. The possibilities for bad TV are where you went.
I think that you're building up my show. Thank you.
Oh, it's terrible.
All right, I need to talk about this for a second, because he didn't hit everything that I wanted to hit. They had 2 hours to make a movie about one of the greatest characters in the Star Wars universe, and they fucked it up so bad that it literally didn't make money. How do you not make money on a Star Wars movie? And then you want to take that? Oh no, hold on. You want to take that? You want to take that and adapt that into a TV show where they need to make fucking at least 12 episodes or 10 episodes in a season, and you want them to drag that horse shit out? What are you on?
Of course I want them to drag that out. I think the TV show...
Why? Because 2 hours made it shitty. What makes you think fucking 20 hours of content's going to be better?
That's the whole point, is that it's supposed to be...
No, that's not the whole point.
That's the whole point. That's the question.
It's supposed to be a good adaptation. How are you going to adaptate a movie that's so fucking terrible to begin with? How are you going to stretch that out? It's not garbage.
It's not that terrible of a movie. It just didn't...
Fucking Rogue One was better.
Sorry, can you hold on a second? Chris, please give your statement.
I'm just saying that it actually was a pretty good movie. It wasn't a terrible movie. I really enjoyed it. The fact that it flopped is the point of this question.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
All right.
as a TV show, I think it would be a ton of money. Who wouldn't want to watch that? I would sign up right now. I would buy Disney Plus.
Okay.
just to get that.
Thank you, Chris. Can let's debate the other movies as well, because as of right now, the only thing that people have said negative about a movie is about Solo.
I'm not familiar with Adam's choice. I'm definitely going to watch it because based on the things that I've read here, it looks interesting. I can't see how you can make this into a TV adaptation at all. My movie came from a comic book series. There's no easier thing to move to a TV concept than a comic book based movie, in my opinion, because you already have the short stories that you can make into episodes. You already have all this. You have the character development.
The problem is the comic book. Here's the adaptations that have gone to television from comic of not being great. The track record hasn't been.
I agree. I think there's a lot of movies that are adapted from comics that are amazing, but I don't.
There's also a lot of that are garbage. But
Name a couple of TV shows that have been adapted from comics that are actually good.
Umbrella Academy, The Boys. There's a whole slew of them.
No, I don't. That's not a slew. That's two.
Well, do you want me to spend 20 fucking minutes writing them all off? Come on. I gave you two very good examples.
Try to be passionate here.
I am being passionate. I already showed you that.
There's two very good examples, but there's also one really bad one. And,
Oh, for sure.
who you talk to is Walking Dead. I was very disappointed in that adaptation.
The Walking Dead for 6 seasons was really good.
Walking Dead for 6 seasons was really good, is what he said. Please continue.
All right.
But it was not a movie,
Oh,
so
sorry.
it doesn't apply to this.
No, it's comic book though. That's his point.
I just find your story, Jody, is a little bit. It's very broad. It really would take a little bit of getting into. I mean, it's sort of like a Game of Thrones. You got to give it a couple tries before you get going onto it. I don't think it would capture the people.
One of the
you need
most
right away.
successful TV series.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough one to get into.
Good point.
Yeah. And while my movie, I didn't do a great job explaining, ran out of time, but there was too many damn questions. I just need answers. I mean, it needs to be wrapped up, and it just ended, and it wasn't. It was a great movie. I hope people do watch it, but I think you're going to walk away with feeling, okay, I want more. I need more of that movie, whether it be a sequel or whether it be a TV show, and that's where 12 seasons or 12 episodes would be amazing to tell me more, and that's what I wanted.
Okay, I think
Just 1 second here. I just want to move the positions. Just so I can do
positions.
Just so I can do this. Aha.
Ooh.
All right.
But I'm 3, and why am I first?
Well,
Anyway.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
The number.
All right. I've made my decision. This became the let's beat down Chris segment.
Yep.
Chris,
It's always that.
I was there with you, but you did not say why it would be a better adaptation via television. You did not. And that is where you lost.
Damn me.
I have no idea about the other two movies. I have never watched any of them. Now, for Valerian, Jody, you start off with giving some really good descriptions about how it would play out. You actually got a boost from Adam saying that it would be like Game of Thrones, which you said was a very popular show. Great job.
Yeah.
But the only show that people said they would actually watch is Adam's. You said that you would watch it.
I never said that. I said I'd watch the movie.
You said you would watch it based on. Yes, you did. You said you would watch it.
I'd watch the movie.
Well, you did not clarify during your statement. So I took it as you would watch it, right? Adam, you had a very poor description about your thing. I did not understand anything about it. But
based 5 minutes, because the movie is not. I mean, it's a hard movie to describe. Let me tell you.
Based upon your passion and that Jody would watch it, the only thing that people would say that they would actually follow up on as an actual subject, Adam, you win that point.
Thank you.
Dave, do I still have a producer credit on this show?
Because
I don't think I'm going to have Jaemeel return.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
You know what? Yeah, as I stated before, It is a combination of all things, including passion, your ability to keep through with your story, and
Biased.
biased.
What?
Okay,
That must have been one of my kids.
moving on to our next subject. It is music. What is the best movie score in the last 20 years, from January 2000 to December 2020?
Great question, by the way.
Starting off with contestant number 3, which is Jody.
Okay.
Oh, I'm starting? Okay. All right. So the picture that I picked, which was obviously the movie, was There Will Be Blood, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie. I hope you are, because it was a fantastic movie. Basically, it's a movie about oil drilling for the most part. This is happens in around the 1890s areas when the story starts taking place. And it's about the transition of a man and his transition in being basically everything's about the money, essentially. The score itself, though, is haunting. It's a brutal score. The score itself is actually done by Johnny Greenwood, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's actually a guitarist for the band Radiohead. And the score is just it's so haunting. Every time it's almost like the score itself is its own character in the actual movie. You actually feel really good emotion from it. Like whenever there's a scene that's getting really tense, like for instance, somebody is about to get killed, or for instance, equipment starts malfunctioning, you hear like the kind of thing. It's obviously we can't play it because of copyright, but it draws everything in the scene so beautifully. And he does this throughout the entire movie. You almost feel that every time you hear the music, it's telling its own story that's going on screen as well. So overall, it's just a fantastic thing, and it's a very good compliment to the movie.
Okay, thank you very much. That is There Will Be Blood as Jody's choice. We're going to contestant number 1, which will be Chris. Chris, what is your entry, please?
Okay. I went with not an oddball movie here, but an oddball when you think about the score. I went with Zack and Miri Make a Porno. The reason I chose this movie is because from the very beginning of the movie, very first scene, when Seth Rogen is driving in his car, what song do you hear playing? Wynona's Big Brown Beaver by Primus. This immediately draws me into this movie. I'm like, okay, this movie is going to be fucking hilarious because the director actually took the time to look up Primus, to find a relevant song that would start off this movie and just set the mood and set it so perfectly. The score is there's also many other great songs in the movie, like Blondie, Jesus and Mary Chain. There's a lot of originals by Kevin Smith in this movie, believe it or not, if you actually want to look up the soundtrack. But this movie gets me pumped to watch it right from the very beginning. As soon as I hear...
Okay.
We lost him again, right? Nope.
Wait.
Oh, he's speeding up. Can you hear us, Chris?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We didn't hear half of what you said, I don't think.
It gets you hyped up.
Gets you hyped up.
Once you get hyper, all of a sudden we can't hear anything.
Okay,
Nope.
I'm making a
I know,
judgment
John.
call. Adam, please go ahead and do your pick, please.
All right. My score to movie was Almost Famous 2000. It basically follows the story of a high school kid who was given the opportunity to write a story for Rolling Stone about an up-and-coming rock band. But this movie wouldn't have been a movie without the score behind it. It just, you could have the soundtrack and you could have the movie, but together they make everything in it. It was fantastic. It was a storytelling movie. It was about how much attention you can pay to that decade of movies. And honestly, I was born in the 70s, but I didn't know the music as much as I could have, and until this movie came along, and man, did it get me interested. When you look at that, you had Simon and Garfunkel, The Who, Led Zeppelin, Yes, Elton John. I mean, Nancy Wilson actually did her own scoring and writing for the band that was featured in the movie. So it was one of those great movies that I loved. And a great quote from the movie that will wrap up here. If you ever get lonely, just go to the record store and visit your old friends.
Okay. Before we start, sorry, as a judge's decision, Chris,
Yeah.
you are not in this debate at all.
Nope.
Why?
This is about movie score, not soundtrack. Okay.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just
So
I was
That
going to
was the
ask
point
the
I was gonna
question if you didn't.
okay. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you
was
for your
there too. That's what I was
participation,
gonna say.
Chris. If you have any debating that the other two contestants have or any opinions about it, I would glad to hear it. But Jody, Adam, please proceed.
I'm familiar with Adam's pick, Almost Famous. I don't remember much of a score to it, but that's fine. I'm sure there is some there because it would have had to been. I can't argue it being a decent. I don't remember anything to do with the score. I remember the famous songs that were not made for the movie. They were just obviously added in. That's part difference between soundtrack versus score. My entire movie is a score. I don't remember there being any commercial songs that were available prior to this that were on that the score, not the soundtrack. So I would say between our two picks, Jaemeel, quite honestly, I think I was the only one that really did pick a title that truly did get the essence of the question and that was being presented to us. However, I'm not going to discredit Adam's thing because there is some obviously some pieces that were made for the movie. But I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but that doesn't mean they're not good. But my entire movie has an actual full score that was done by BBC Orchestra and with the help of obviously Johnny. So I would say that I'm clearly the winner here, Jaemeel. I don't even know why we're continuing this debate.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I went long and hard thinking about this. Generally, I would agree with you, and I did debate with myself as far as what a score versus a soundtrack is, but this picture couldn't have been made without that soundtrack behind it, which became really the score. Yeah. And you can't debate that. I mean, it just is.
Well, I can. It's not a score, but
well, all right. I chose it because I think that that soundtrack became the score. And while I love your movie, but I can't unless I can't in my mind play anything, but I can play definitive movie scenes based on that in Almost Famous. I mean, the scene, one of the most famous movie scenes in music history is actually the scene in the bus when they recreated Tiny Dancer, when everybody came together again. It was a relationship building moment. One of those things that just, defined a movie and movie history. And that's one of them. It's got to be up in the top 50 movie scenes that have ever made. And I do support your score versus soundtrack. Mm-hmm. This movie brought them together. Almost Famous brought them together.
Okay. Jody, hold on a second. You said the soundtrack became the score. I want to hear how, or this debate is over.
Yeah.
How it is? Okay. Well, every movie needs background music. I understand that, right? You have to have a scene that builds up to something, right? Whether it's intense sound, intense tempo, intense, I mean, you could have a scene with no music and it wouldn't mean anything. Throw the music in, we're good. And this is what Almost Famous did. You had definitive scenes that were created because of the movie, the music chosen for that. Memorable as hell. And I stand by it. I do believe in this case, this one case, the score was the soundtrack.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your choices. The winner is Jody. It's Jody. And I'll tell you why. Jody, you did a great job in terms of detailing the tension, the feeling that the score was the entire soundtrack. You did a great job of detailing the relationship of the music to the actual movie. Adam, you also did that, but you also were very kind of intermingling the actual Stillwater songs. You were kind of describing that more than the actual score. Now, Nancy Wilson co-wrote some of the Stillwater songs and did the score. So if you were explaining like how they were building off of each other, then we would have been cooking, right? But unfortunately, without that point, that was the crux of the debate I was really looking for. Chris, you are doing a big disservice to James L. Venable, who has done a multitude of Kevin Smith movies. He did the score for Zack and Mary. Not even mentioning that Primus had nothing to do with the score. Nothing.
Nothing to do with it.
Hey, Chris.
It was the
They
first
told
song.
me they told me you'd be talking Primus at least in one answer. I knew that was
Take a drink, everyone.
He can't do anything without mentioning Primus at least once.
We can't.
that's funny.
Okay. I don't know how that's for strategy, Chris, but you do you.
Well, it doesn't work out for me very well.
But to his point, he does win music a lot.
Yeah, not this time. Not this
Not
time.
this
It wasn't.
time,
He didn't even place. Okay, going on to the next category. History. This is a long-winded question. In honor of Bill and Ted Face the Music, now in video and on demand, if you could go back in time and bring one person back from the past, which historical figure would be the biggest benefit to society in 2020? We're going to go with contestant number 2, Adam.
Hi, guys. All right, I picked JFK, and simply looking very North American and more U.S. focused and centric. But man, this last 2 years has been a disaster down, or 4 years has been a disaster down there, and coming together with the pandemic right now, there'd been no leadership, and really needed it. So I'll give you 5 reasons that if we brought him back and put him into power, what would he offer? Well, first of all, we need an effective communication and a bold vision. There's been, what did JFK do? We're going to the moon. A decade's work to get them there. What do we need now? We need a career now. We need people wearing masks now. There has to be a bold vision and the leadership to take it there. He definitely would have brought new innovation and the technology he needed to do it. He had that thinking, the ability to do it. He took risks and be able to advance a cause greater than himself and, towards the country. There's no denying what he did in his short time in office and as far as advancing the country and changing that stupid mentality they have now of the individual, but more to the greater good. He followed his own moral concerns and his own directives, despite public opinion. And finally, the divisiveness that we find now, we wouldn't be in the same position because 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, he was already actioning against it.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam. All right, Chris.
Yep.
Please go ahead with your entry.
Okay. My entry for this, hopefully it doesn't have to be someone from Bill and Ted. If not, I screwed up this question again. But my answer is going to be Stephen Hawking. And the reason I'm actually passionate about this one is because I think there's so many people out there nowadays that are, there's anti-maskers out there. There's this guy that opened up the barbecue joint. There's people out there that think the world is flat. You see them all over the internet. There's misinformed people all over the place. And I think that we need someone like Stephen Hawking, who was a theoretical physicist who would do the best to get his point across. I think we need more science in today's society. I don't think that leadership is a problem. So that's why I don't think we need JFK. I don't think that leadership has been the problem, except for Trump. I think that we need more scientists and people who can, like him, who can get the point across to people that, like, come on, how are we going to convince people that they're supposed to wear masks if there is like 1% of the population that still actually believes that the world is flat? I think Stephen Hawking is the guy He's written many papers. He's great at it. He's written many books. He can put everything down on paper and just bring science back.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for your entry. Going on to contestant number 3, Jody, please proceed.
I went a little bit more out of the box than these two. I went with Jesus. And the reason why I went with Jesus is because I want to settle this damn debate. All right? Did he exist? Did he not exist? Is he who we thought he was? Is he not who we thought he was? And let's be honest, if he did come back and he is an actual real person and did, all these events did happen, which I'm not going to say one way or the other how I feel. I would want to know how he would react to the new world, and I would want to gain the knowledge that apparently he had, which was, loving thyself, loving each other, all that stuff. So I think he would be a positive role model if he does indeed exist. And I could bring him back. I think he'd be an excellent role model for today's world, to be able to get back to the basics of loving each other, stop being jackasses all the time, stuff like that. And I'm for my last 30 seconds, I'm just going to go, Chris. He's only been dead for 2 years. It really, his influence isn't going to make much of a difference one way or the other. Flat earthers have been around for a lot longer than 2 years. So I don't think that makes much sense. And as for JFK, why not Lincoln? Why not Washington? Why JFK? So I would like to know a little bit more about that myself.
Let's go. Ding, ding. Go ahead.
Right, so why not? Why JFK? Number one, he's still relevant. You just mentioned. Sorry, you said Lincoln and who?
Washington. Any of the big predominant presidents.
They grew up in a different century. My goodness, there was a lot. The world scale is too small.
The 1960s were different, really, as well.
As we learned from Star Trek, yeah. But I still believe that at least there's some relevance. He talks the same language. He knows the same people. He was already moving forward with civil rights. With sorry, Joe, Chris, but your science connection doesn't really work. He was too brilliant. Hawking was too brilliant. He couldn't talk to people. Kennedy took the science and made it for the masses. What you put a man on the moon, for crying out loud. I mean, that was giant. So, I just think that, the commonality that Kennedy had versus Hawking made him a people's person. And plus the leadership that you need right now is crucial. And like it or not, the U.S. is the leader of the world. It's still, they're on decline, but they're still the leader. And we need that. The whole world needs that. Jesus is just, again, sorry, Jody, for me, too broad, too pie in the sky. I never thought you were so altruistic, and I'm really happy about that. And it's to see that with you, but
maybe only for this question, but
maybe for this question. All right. But, I think that him coming back in this world, 2020 is a wrong time. It's just, you're going to throw even more fuel on the fire right now. We don't need religious battles, on top of fighting a pandemic.
You know what? I just want to.
Did we lose him again?
You just want to say nothing? Okay, cool.
I don't know.
Okay. Can he phone in?
Yeah, maybe phone in.
At this point, we could use a still image and have him phone in.
Tell him to turn off his video. We'll just use a still image. How about I talk while we're waiting? Adam, I do understand your points there. I think some of them are very valid. The reason why I picked Jesus was I was looking at more of a broader scale. I was looking at more of the, what did he actually exist? Did he not exist? This is something that people have fought over, people have died for, and of course JFK, obviously civil rights and stuff like that, very important. I will agree with you, but I don't know if he could really climatize to today's environment, where Jesus I don't think could either, but I think in a way that would be better for everybody else. The impact that would be felt globally. JFK is more of a North American type figure. I don't think you're going to see a lot of, people, too concerned about, the resurrection of JFK versus the resurrection of Jesus. So I think, as well as I do appreciate your point, and I will go on record to say I am an atheist. However, I still think it would be nice to get a solid answer. So I think that answer is kind of more of my basic point. And I do agree with you, Adam. I think a guy who's only been dead for 2 years, who realistically was one of the best geniuses of our lifetime, and in some ways many people's lifetimes, I don't think he's really going to add too much to the equation already. He already really did impact our society in great ways. And I don't think he's really going to make much of an impact past that. Whereas JFK, I think, would make a little bit more of an impact, but I think your biggest impact is obviously going to be somebody like Jesus, who, people pray to, worship, and all that. So I think overall, I think my point's a much more solid point.
As far as Christians go, they already believe that Jesus is alive and around us. You've
Great.
heard of so there's no point in bringing Jesus back. They already believe that he's alive.
Well, that's only one section of a religion, though.
Catholics believe it. Catholics believe that he's alive. Just as much as they believe that God is alive, they believe that God and Jesus are the same person. So if they think Jesus is dead, they would also believe that God is dead. So Jesus is not someone who has to be brought back, as many Catholics around the world know and believe. They believe he's already here. As far as world leadership,
there's a lot of people that think Elvis is still alive too.
There are,
but it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
That's ridiculous.
Final 30 seconds. Finish strong, people.
All right, so guys, just again, Chris, you're going to go on to leadership there. Let me retort here, because I just think, again, when Obama was elected, the comparisons were made, Obama to Kennedy. People are craving that kind of leadership. And Jody, you said worldwide popularity. Disagree again. Just the popular culture that has occurred, building Kennedy up to this monolithic hero that he is now, would make him worldwide popular. It wouldn't be just North America.
But he was a known womanizer. He was a known. There was a lot of bad things about him too. Like,
Kennedy, I want to make one quick point. Kennedy has already been president, which makes him ineligible to be president again. Therefore, bringing him back would be no point to it.
He's dead too, but come on,
yeah, that also makes him ineligible.
He never got his second term, so he could actually.
He never got a second term. He can come back and do it.
Well, he can do it for what, like a little bit, but then
for another 4 years. Do you not know how the system works?
You know what? I bet you they changed the law for him.
They would.
If he rises from the dead and says, "I want to run," they might actually change it. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I think I made my decision. Chris, you got knocked out pretty early, and you never really recovered from it. Only dead for 2 years, no influence, too brilliant, not able to connect with people. Those things you never really retorted or was able to kind of respond to. The other two, great debate. Lot of great points that were. I actually wrote it down as I'm going. There was a lot of
more than any other host.
I'm trying to pay attention. Okay, so I think what it really came down to is worldwide impact, and Jody did a great job of really selling me on it. So Jody, you get the point.
Oh boy,
Jaemeel, I gotta.
You gotta disagree?
Well, I mean, I can't disagree with the judge, but man.
You did a great job. I thought it was pretty solid. All right. You guys are mostly doing a really good job. All right. Going on to the next subject. It is sport. What is the most memorable sporting moment in the last 20 years? Please describe the moment, please. Okay. Thank you. We're starting off with contestant number 1, which is Chris.
Okay, my sporting moment is from the 2009 Brier. I know Dave already knows what I'm going to say. It's called Glenn Howard, The Shot. The most amazing shot ever made in curling. What happened was it was the 10th end. His team was down by 2 points. They were down by 2. They were facing the Yellow Rocks. They were red. They were facing the Yellow Rocks, and Saskatchewan had 2 Yellow Rocks in the rings already. It was his last shot of the game. The only way to win this game was to somehow get both of those 2 Yellow Rocks out and score 3 points. This man manages to do it. Rock goes down the ice, off his red rock in the front, ricochets, and hits the other team's yellow rock. The other red rock bounces off to the right, knocks the other yellow rock out. He manages to stick 3 of his rocks in the ring, get 3 points, and win that round. Too bad it wasn't. It was for a round robin game, but it is still considered the best shot in curling to this day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, this was about curling. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move on to contestant number 3, which is Jody. Please proceed.
All right, Jaemeel. I picked something which I think everybody locally definitely can appreciate. This would be the Toronto Raptors 2018-2019 championship. After 26 years of championship drought in major sports for even Toronto itself, 26 years, the Raptors win their first ever NBA title. Now, not only did they win this title, they did, 2.5, almost 3 months worth of just hard-hitting basketball. Even the parade afterwards was something that people still talk about to this day. I still see it on, I still see clips from it popping up on my feed on Facebook. And this is, a year and a half later, or a year later. This is an incredible time for sport, especially in the Toronto area, which is where we're all near. For anybody who doesn't know that. This was a great accomplishment for a Toronto sports team. We're talking, the last time something this hyped happened was when the Blue Jays won their back-to-back. This was an incredible achievement for Canadian sports when it comes to, especially the NBA, who, let's be honest, we don't look the strongest in the NBA when it comes to Canadian teams. So this was an incredible moment in history for sports in general, and this is something that I still remember, seeing this happen, and it was an incredible time.
Okay, thank you very much, Jody. Adam, please proceed with yours.
Yeah, I'm going to describe something a little differently, which I thought was impactful for the world. And it occurred on October 13th, 2019, where the first person to run a marathon in under 2 hours did it in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. And that is just a monumental achievement. Now considering what the average person runs a 5-kilometer race in 38 minutes, his name is Eliud Kipchoge. He's a Kenyan guy, and he ran it on that. He can run a 5K in 14 minutes and 13 seconds. So it's just really crazy. But what did we learn from this event? I mean, my goodness, first of all, what kind of eating that you need to do to run a marathon to win, and to keep that energy going in your body is just one thing. To sustain performance. And they learned a lot about the carbohydrates you need to eat, during and actually through the race. What else did you run? How wind influences a race, and what kind of blocking you get from anything like that, any kind of external influence. What kind of weather is ideal to run a race in? And then finally, with Nike's help, what kind of shoes you can run in, and they haven't even announced what kind of shoes exactly they were yet. They haven't shared that with the world. So again, I wanted to take a worldwide impact and, just an individual achievement, but something that was just great to see.
Okay, folks, debate.
Well,
sorry.
As you guys know, I've been playing curling for years, like probably 8 or 9 years now. And whenever I see this shot or on TV, or I look at it on YouTube, I mean, you can find it there. You will see how much of an amazing shot it is. And I just know that in my life, I would never be able to make a shot like that, no matter how much I practiced. That is like a 1 in a million shot, which makes it so memorable. And it's such a Canadian thing, too. It's at the Briars.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, but you couldn't run a race in under 2 hours, and you couldn't win an NBA championship either, honestly. So, I mean, if you're going to use that mentality, that answer, then we all win. But you know, I agree. It was a great thing for Canada, you know, but again, it was Canada, and it's a very specific subset of people who like curling and play it. I mean, many do. I'm not just in the sport. And Jody, again, you know, great accomplishment for Canada, great accomplishment for Toronto particularly, but not worldwide and not really changing. Somebody wins every day or every year. Somebody wins the NBA championship. Every year somebody wins the Brier. Not every year that somebody win or set a world record as far as winning a marathon in that kind of time. That was game changing, and it still hasn't been reached yet. A year and a half later. So.
Yeah, well, we've also only had a year and a half to see that. I'm sure there will be somebody else that'll come by and shave a couple seconds off of that or whatever. It's a constant thing, and I'm not discrediting it. That's an amazing accomplishment for humanity. Let's be honest. The fact that a human can do that speed is remarkable. However, I went with what the actual question which is what's the most memorable sporting event to me personally, as well as a lot of my friends.
That's a very, very subjective question, Jaemeel. Memorable to who?
Well,
that's
debate it.
I don't think
can I finish my point, or can I finish my point?
It represents a moment. It represents
an
entire season. Like if Jody had chosen like something like the 4-bouncer that Kawhi did off the ring, that would have been a moment. But Jody didn't choose a moment. He chose a.
I did choose a moment. I chose the minute that they won that championship. That is fantastic. You picked curling. For Christ's sake, could you have picked anything else? As for Adam, now can I maybe I can have a minute to actually finish? I'm not discrediting what Adam is saying here. I think as an accomplishment for humanity, I think that's a pretty interesting moment. I could not even name that gentleman. And I assume it's a gentleman at this point, but I couldn't even name that gentleman, so I can't see how it's the most memorable. I'm a person who acquires a lot of media presence. I'm watching news. I'm watching all this stuff. I don't even remember seeing this. So that number one is a fault of the news services if they're not reporting this, because that's an incredible accomplishment. But I do remember, and it does say in there, memorable sporting moment. I remember that. I remember the celebrations. I remember, seeing all the hype on TV about it. I remember seeing that release that they saw on the court when these guys finally won this. This was a struggle. This was at least a 3-month struggle for them, if not longer. But a really hard, 2.5, 3 months for them. And I feel that is really what the whole question is. And that's at least how I interpret the question. Of course, the judge will be the ultimate deciding on that. But curling, like, come on, like, you know what? I'm not discrediting the sport. I actually enjoy curling, as you both know.
Gotta fight.
But you know what? It's not.
Jody, when that happened,
that moment, 20 fucking people cared about it. This is something that Adam's thing. More people cared about that. More people cared about mine. No one fucking cared about the fucking curling except for a very niche.
It's on
amount of people.
Every TSN highlight.
It's on every curling fan site, which 20 fucking people go on to. Who cares?
Everybody. It's the number one shot.
I'm not discrediting it. It's a great shot. That's fine.
Ever made. The best shot ever made in curling.
Memorable to who? And I think at the end of the day is when you look at something memorable to a geographic area, our country is one thing, but geographic or memorable to the world as far as a accomplishment like the one I described is just key. I mean, it impacts everybody. You can't
champions look at this shot and they're like, "Wow, that is the best curling shot ever made."
That's great, and the 100 people that care about that are amazed about it. I'm sure.
Who cares? Honestly,
I'm not discrediting curling. I enjoy curling. And I think it's a hard thing to do. I learned that the hard way. But is it something that's most memorable for a lot of people? No.
Okay.
It's a very niche market.
I think we're now talking in circles. Thank you, everyone. I've made my decision. A lot of great points mentioned. Chris, you helped out Jody when you had him specifically define what he was talking about, because it was kind of vague in terms of your response. It was kind of vague. Adam, great job in terms of detailing how impactful it was, what was the different elements that were involved in it. I was quite surprised in terms of the information that you provided. Jody, once again, you always bring a very consistent amount of information and arguments to the point. But although you do overpower conversations, I feel like Adam had the stronger argument overall. So Adam, you get the point.
Thank you.
Good job.
And Adam, just to point out, you got to fight and you got to step on some toes, because Jody and Chris don't necessarily care if you put your hand up. Okay.
No.
All right. We're going.
Just to recap the score here.
Yes.
We got Adam with 2, Jody with 2, Chris with 1, and this is the wild card round. So Chris will need this point in order to even qualify for a tiebreaker.
Okay. Yes.
I'll be
Okay.
surprised if Chris has even seen this movie.
This one I'm most interested in. This one I'm most interested in, which is our wild card question. Who is the true villain of The Wizard of Oz? And I specify not the Wicked Witch of the West. So I believe it is Chris's turn to start off. So go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Jody, I have seen this movie before.
Oh, good. That makes things easier for you.
I think I've seen it once. And I'm going with Toto. Toto the dog, yes. The reason Toto is a true villain in this story is because he's a little shit. When the tornado is coming, Dorothy and her family runs into the house. Dorothy tells Toto, get down to the cellar. Get down to the cellar. And what does Toto do? Goes under the bed. That little piece of shit. So because of that, Dorothy is forced to chase her dog, and the fucking house gets swept away. It's all because of that little dog that they had to go to Oz in the first place. So he fucked up their lives. Then near the end of the movie, guess what? Dorothy is going away. She's going back home to Kansas. She's going in the hot air balloon. But guess what happens? Toto, that fucking little shit, runs away. And Dorothy has to chase him. Guess what? Fucking air balloon takes off. Dorothy's not on the air balloon. So not only did he get them there in the first place, he fucking fucked up the escape plan.
Okay.
I have to give him credit. That wasn't bad.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Toto, as a response, we'll go to contestant number 2. Adam, can you please proceed with your response?
Yes. Sorry, 1 second.
No worries.
Gotcha. Okay, I picked Elmira Gulch, and I'm talking about the person in the first scene of the movie. It opens up with Mrs. Gulch showing up at the Gales' house, the farmstead, and accusing Toto of biting her, and basically, crawling in her garden and biting her. And she said, because of this, I'm going to have this dog put down. So what did this started this, showed again her meanness. She's definitely somebody with some clout in town that she can go to the police and say, I want this done. I don't believe, there's definitely some elderly abuse and some bullying going on from this woman. She started this whole movie off and the direction that it started going because of this. So her dog, she stole Toto. She's got the police order to bring it to be put to sleep for crying out for probably a nip. And this is awful. I mean, if you're a dog lover or any animal lover, this is not tolerable. People can put up with this stuff. So she puts it in their little buggy and she's going down the road looking very stern, very scary as a kid watching that movie too. I was always fearful of her, and they teed that part of the movie up really well. But Toto escaped, runs home. Dorothy sees Toto and runs away from home, starting the movie off with the whole escape from home and then getting caught in the tornado because she was away from home. So Elmira Gulch is the catalyst for Wizard of Oz and the worst person in that movie.
Okay. Jody, your entry.
I went with probably the most obvious choice. I would at least hope anybody who's watched the movie more than once would come across. I went with Glinda the Good Witch because she literally causes shit the entire movie. It literally starts off with a bloodbath. Essentially, a person gets killed, which in this case is obviously the Good Witch of the East, and it's a celebration, right? And she kind of leads it. Okay. Then on top of that, you have her later on taunting, people because of the fact that these slippers, she essentially puts them onto Dorothy, which obviously is kind of a douchebag move as well. Then like stealing somebody's like shoes off of a dead body is that's gross to begin with. Like that's just terrible. But anyway, she also through the entire movie blames Dorothy for all the problems that are going on. She doesn't, once, really just kind of, let things slide. It's always like, it's really Dorothy's fault, like Dorothy caused all this shit. It's like, which obviously is, there's a little bit more psych going there. She's, there's so many other things I could even say, but literally the entire plan of the movie was really set in motion by her. So this is all stuff that, just kind of leads to the fact that she literally is the most evil piece of this entire equation.
Okay, everyone, go ahead and debate.
Chris, you can't pick a dog.
Why not?
Why can't I pick a dog? It doesn't.
Tell me why he can't pick a dog.
Okay.
You know what?
Dog, okay, I'll tell you why. It said villain. Okay, you have to be intentionally a villain. You have to have intention to want to destroy things. A dog reacts. A dog ran under the bed because he was scared of the storm. Simple as that.
You know what, though? You chose Mrs. Gulch, who was the alter ego of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Listen,
so
she
kind of chose the Wicked Witch of the West in a roundabout way.
I did not choose the witch.
No, he chose.
I did not choose the witch.
Person that was based on.
In my story, I didn't even go to Oz. Okay, and my choice is that, listen, you wouldn't even have this happen without Amira Gulch. She started the movie off by choosing Toto because
Toto bit her, so he is the villain. Maybe she wouldn't be such a.
Toto's not the villain because he
bit her in the first place.
Horrible woman.
Maybe she would have been a great woman if Toto didn't bite her. Would you be happy if you got bit by a dog? I'm not happy about that.
I don't think I'm going to kill a dog that bites me. There's a reason for it generally.
Well, I might, and people do kill dogs that bite them.
That maim them, that rip them apart. A little different.
You know what? I have a little dog. I have a Shih Tzu. And I let her out to go to the washroom in the front sometimes. And guess what? She'll run across the road. She's a little shit. She's a little villain. I get so mad at that dog. I have to yell at her.
You can't have why? Because they act very different.
Okay, I can sum this all up.
I thought you were going to go.
Villains don't have to be human.
Well, that's true, but they do have to have intent.
The Wizard of Oz. Do you think he's human himself? No, he lives in Oz. I don't know.
Yeah, but does he have intent?
Toto was also the one who exposed him. Like that dog's
but
just.
But Toto didn't run around with a knife trying to kill people. Like he literally was just acting as a dog.
Wizard of Oz. It's not a friggin' horror movie.
That's like me saying that your dog's terrible. But anyway.
The dog is not the villain of the movie. The dog.
Guys, I can sum this all up. The worst villain is obviously Glinda because through the entire movie, Dorothy wants to go home. And the entire movie, no one tells her that she could just click her fucking heels together. And the only person who would know that would be Glinda. And Glinda literally let this entire fucking thing happen in, obviously, well, some people interpret it in Dorothy's head. But it's literally that one piece of information that she doesn't bother to give makes her the most evil out of everybody because literally we can end this.
We don't know that she knows.
Had a very different intent. She was trying to teach a lesson here about wanting to go home and the importance of home and
that's
when
one
you
way to interpret it. Yeah, I agree.
Get there was a lesson, lifelong lesson going in there. She was also providing some much needed, hearts and oil and everything else for the Tin Man and courage for the lion. I think that she provided a path for those guys to get down before sending Dorothy back to Kansas. Now, as far as whether she had other intentions in mind, sure, but I don't think it was villainous. And she towards Dorothy, certainly not a villain. And then, as far again, back to Gulch again, like just think of this.
Nowhere in that question does it say it has to be.
Gulch had like literally one scene in the movie where she was riding a bike.
No, she didn't. You think about this. She was like very, very mean to the Gales. Like that was
she was in there for a while.
Old husband and wife trying to run a farm. raising your niece for, but she just obviously has some status in town and uses it to the bad. And she's not a very nice person. All right.
Glinda is trying to actively wipe out every fucking witch in Oz. Okay, she is on a power struggle. She is trying to run the whole show.
Because she's not wicked.
What?
Of course, if you're
She's
not
a
wicked,
witch.
you want to run the whole show. You don't want a wicked.
She's
person
obviously
running the
wicked.
whole
She's
show.
stealing shoes and not telling people how they can get home when they want
You
to.
didn't
Like,
know. It
come
was the
on.
wizard that told
She's
her
a
how to get home.
jackass.
It wasn't her.
She's
Yeah,
a
I
total
don't-
jackass. And it was
she's
all
also
about
worshipped by
power.
people. She also has power. She's also very nice to people. She's a very, very
Yeah,
good forward.
deceitfully nice. You can be nice and be a villain.
Okay.
Come on
Okay.
now.
So before we finish up, I want just a couple seconds of just strong points for you and against the other people. Jody, go.
The entire demeanor of Glinda is she acts like she's a friend, but in reality she's blaming Dorothy for things. She's stealing people's shoes. She's withholding information that's valuable. She's basically on a power trip struggle. As for the dog, yeah, it's a dog. It's acting like a dog. That's totally. I don't even know how Chris is even in this. As for Adam, I think Adam has a very decent point. However, this is not this was about the Wizard of Oz, obviously, as a whole. I don't feel that answer really does give me a villain for the entire movie, because her alternate ego, essentially, in this scenario, is the Wicked Witch. I feel strongly that Adam is correct on the fact that at the beginning of the movie, she's definitely a villain. But is she a villain throughout the entire movie of the Wizard of Oz? No.
Okay.
Whereas Glinda, I think, is.
Adam, go ahead.
All right. Gulch, she operates on fear. She operates on intimidation. Mm-hmm. She operates on, pushing people around and using her status in town to be, bigger than she is. She set the movie in motion. She was trying to kill a dog. That's a little dog that probably nipped her. And really, without that.
We don't know that. She could have killed her baby, for all we know.
She didn't show any blood. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dorothy would not have run away from home. She would not have run into Professor Marvel and then have to come back because she's missing her aunt so badly. And this is the catalyst again that sent her in motion, and actually the entire movie in motion at that point. And again, Chris, it's a dog. We're not. It's not even...
Chris, it's a dog. That's all
Okay,
you have to say.
Chris.
You know what? The dog is the entire reason that Mrs. Gulch is pissed off. The dog is the entire reason that they get stuck in the tornado and go to Oz in the first place. The dog is the entire reason that Dorothy can't go home in the hot air balloon because the fucking dog runs off. The dog is the entire reason that the Wizard of Oz gets exposed and you have to find out his true identity.
Well, then he's a hero.
Definitely the villain in this movie. Mrs. Gulch is hardly in this movie. So what? She gets bit at the beginning. That's because my character was villainous first.
Your dog's actually a hero. You just said it.
Okay, I think I've kind of made my decision, and I'll just break it down exactly why. Now, intention not there, only instinct. Great point. Chris, you kind of got knocked out with that one. But also the point that Adam made with Glinda trying to teach a lesson that needed to be taught, creating a path before sending folks home. That is also a good knock against Glinda as to why she did the things that she did, which Jody, you did a great job describing all the stuff that can be interpreted as villainous acts. So great job in terms of that. Adam, you did a great job in terms of detailing the bookends, I should say, of Gulch's evilness and villainy that occurred. Yes, you didn't fight off the alter ego, the Wicked Witch. They kept trying to hammer you home with, even though I'm not recognizing her as the Wicked Witch of the West. Stating that she is the alternate ego of the Wicked Witch of the West is still a point regardless. Stating that her villainous acts were a reaction to Toto is actually a great point that Chris made. So overall, the person with the most points, Glinda the Good Witch, which is Jody's. Great job.
I just want to ask one question, though.
Yep.
Did anybody pick that other than me?
No.
No.
I'm
Really?
actually
Okay, I'm
surprised that no one picked Dorothy, but
I was going to pick Glenda.
Dorothy would have
except
been a good pick too.
I think that Glenda, it was too close to Wicked, and because if you read Wicked, she is
I've
the
never
she
read
is
Wicked.
the okay. Well, Wicked. If you read Wicked, she is the villain.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
So I thought that's where you were going when you started, but you didn't.
No, actually, I've never seen it. I'm aware of it, but I don't know what it's about or anything.
or read it.
I'm a huge
Photo
Okay, so Chris, unfortunately,
again.
Chris, actually, I want to commend you. You did a great job in terms of defending your point. You stuck with it, and you never gave up or anything like that. You had a lot of passion. I commend you on that. Great job.
Thank
May I
you.
say one quick thing, if you don't mind? I've been on this show more than anybody. Okay, and I have to admit that this is probably the strongest one Chris has ever been on.
Oh, come on. I
think
didn't
he
make
did.
any notes.
No, but you did. You were very strong on, especially the first two. The first two were very good for you. Yeah.
So just imagine if you did make notes.
Yeah. Okay,
he might be further.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chris, for joining us. I eagerly await your next appearance.
I will continue watching this show.
All right.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. That's great that you would grace us with your presence. Going on to the speed round. Adam, Jody, both of you have competed and made it to the next round. I applaud you both. And we're going into the speed round questions.
I'm not sure exactly which one you wanted for movies, if we're starting with movies.
That's a very
good... Can I also ask a question? What's the format on this one again, Dave? Is this we shout out our answer, or is this we have two answers we have to pick?
It depends on the question. These are all open-ended, so...
There's a couple that are either or, and then there's a couple that is definitive.
True. Actually, the one I thought was your movie one is but it actually could be more of a TV /
There's somebody behind you, Jaemeel.
Yeah,
a special guest.
Special guest. I'm running a game show right now.
Oh, hey guys.
Okay.
Hey.
So
but we appreciate it.
About 30 minutes.
I'm going to sign into Rogers Ignite. Can you text it to me?
I'm running a game show right now. Could you please hold on? Thanks. It's a live show.
Text her the damn pet password, man.
I gotta remember the password. I have a million passwords in my head. All this information that's locked inside.
I don't know who that special guest was, but she seemed lovely.
Oh, that's nice. I don't know how true that is, but nice. Okay.
Okay.
We'll
all right. Leave it at that.
What do you mark off as producer? What did you mark off as a movie question?
I have it's the one with you know who S. Yes.
Okay. We'll sub it in as the movie question. That's fine. So it'll be our first one. Okay.
Okay.
This is either or. Which had the better portrayal of Spock, Discovery or the Kelvin universe?
Kelvin universe.
Well, I guess I have the other one then. So go ahead.
Okay.
It says best zombie film though, so I'm guessing that's the wrong credit.
Nope, that's incorrect. But go ahead.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Why?
Oh, why? Oh my goodness! It stuck to the. I believe it really stuck to the original Spock. It had this original Spock in it. There was definitely some continuity between the original and the Kelvin. Also brought that Zachary Quinto's interpretation of Spock was just fantastic. I think he did a great job playing Leonard Nimoy.
Okay.
So I kind of missed the question itself. So what was the
I'll
question?
restate it again.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell me what my answer is, because he's already picked one.
Which had the better portrayal of Spock? Okay. Discovery or Kelvin universe?
Just give it to him. It's fine.
Okay. Jody.
I can't argue it because I've never seen Spock in Discovery. So how can I argue that?
You could lie to me. Lie to me.
I think
no,
that
you lost.
the person
You lost.
who I don't know is obviously very good at Spock. Okay. There we go.
Adam, you get the point.
Thanks.
Right. Okay.
Well, now we're even. We're even now.
You guys.
All right.
I need you to argue. Okay.
I can't argue something I've never seen. That's just wrong. But anyway.
Okay. Going to the television question. I
Better not be about Discovery.
I just want to make sure I have the right one in here. I think I do. Okay.
Who is this host? This is garbage.
This show's gone downhill since I'm not the producer. I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
Which was the better show, SCTV or Kids in the Hall?
Kids in the Hall.
Great.
Okay. Jody, you go first.
Kids in the Hall was hilarious. Kids in the Hall, the nice thing about Kids in the Hall versus SCTV, and I am a fan of both of them, quite honestly. However, between the two, I enjoy Kids in the Hall more. I think there's much more variety. There is some recurring characters, but not as much as SCTV. SCTV really is a recurring character type skit format. There is some obviously original stuff. Kids in the Hall, I find, is just the mending of the 5 players in that show are fantastic. Not to discredit the cast of SCTV, but I just think they play off of each other really well.
Hey, go ahead.
I loved Kids in the Hall too. I just think though, for as part as a legacy, and you take a look at these names, and as I say them, John Candy, Eugene Levy, Rick Moranis, Catherine O'Hara. Every one of those has a huge filmography behind them, and just have created such a great legacy. If you go to Scott Thompson, I can think of one thing he's been on since, so which was a good show. But I mean, other than that, there's not a lot of legacy there. But again, great humor and set a stage for future.
Do I get to rebut it all here?
Yeah, let's hear.
Yeah, we should have like a minute rebuttal.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because we normally do, right? I as much as I agree with Adam on some of his things, listing off the actors that were in a show that are now more successful doesn't make the show better. So therefore, Kids in the Hall, even though yes, they may have not had much in the ways of careers past the actual show, the show itself was quite quality. The skits were hilarious. They did spin off a couple movies which weren't bad. But overall, I just think, the pinchy head thing, obviously we know that one. SCTV, I think, is a fantastic show. Don't get me wrong. I find it's a little dry at times compared to Kids in the Hall, where I find almost every skit is pretty good and pretty enjoyable. Whereas SCTV had a lot of hit or misses, and it really depended on who was in that skit for that particular character.
I think
which I found was really nice.
I think you need to look at the time it was set. It was groundbreaking at the time. It was brand new. It was different. It came out of Canada. One of those things that broke through North America.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was. And you're right. But again, it was. I think that SCTV set the groundwork for a lot of these comedy troupes and made it easier for the Kids in the Hall to come along. And I love Kids in the Hall, but I just think the stronger of the two.
Kids in the Hall was the brainchild of Lorne Michaels as well, which is obviously of Saturday Night Live fame. I just think we know how to do a skit show better. And I think that's why Kids in the Hall was a better skit show between the two of them, because of the fact that they had that direction from Lorne Michaels as well as various other talent.
Yeah, while SCTV's strength was really figuring out themselves, and without Lorne Michaels,
groundbreaking for sure. Yeah, groundbreaking for sure. I'll give you that.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna have to give that to Jody. Adam, you really were great with 1 point specifically, which was the legacy of the cast, but Jody did a great job in terms of just detailing what the actual show was and its influence and its ability, what is content. Not influence, but like in terms of like describe the show and detailed, like it doesn't rely on its returning characters and skits. The melding of teams, like there's a lot of
scenarios.
So
fine.
Okay. All right.
Adam, get used to that feeling. It happens every time.
All right. For this next one, Jaemeel, I don't have any text, so you'll just have to make it up, I suppose. So,
great. I can just follow my list and. Okay, which is better? Oh, music? Okay. All right. Okay.
Apparently we can't follow it.
I'll just detail it. Who is the what is the better band? Queen or Aerosmith?
Queen. Queen. I guess I'll start. Queen is a more iconic band, I feel. This is, you can't really go nowadays with any action movie without a Queen song being in it. Aerosmith, even though it's a fantastic band, don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy them. I just think Queen has a much bigger influence on the entire world versus Aerosmith is more of a very North American based act, which I think Queen is more universal. everybody knows, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, all that stuff. So I just think Queen is just a more universal band, universal platform, I guess.
Yeah, true. I think there's some points you made there are great, but I do believe one thing here is that Aerosmith did a monumental thing in breaking down music barriers by doing Walk This Way with Run DMC, and I just think that video alone and that song, combining those two bands together from totally different music styles and music genres, broke barriers down and showed a difference that you'd never seen before in music at that time. And amazing to see that one song introducing Run DMC. If you remember the video, but when the wall came down,
Walk This Way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was fantastic. I just thought, that was for me a defining video and defining song at the time, because I liked the song before and I liked it even better afterwards. And I know it's only one, but again, you didn't see that barrier broken down by Queen at the time.
Okay, debate, rebuttals.
I think a lot of Queen music. Oh, sorry. I think a lot of Queen music, as I said, is more universal. A lot of the Queen music can be moved into other genres as well, such as orchestral. I can't think of any song that really Aerosmith does very well that I think an orchestra could do any justice on. I think it's more universal. I learned some songs when I learned how to play cello. I actually learned some of the Queen songs. I never learned an Aerosmith song on cello. When I was working on piano, same thing. It's a much more iconic band, I feel. Even though Aerosmith, don't get me wrong, I think they did actually break down some barriers, pun intended, especially with that song. But working with another band doesn't make you a better band. We've seen that many times, especially in recent history. Queen, I just think, it's music that is so eclectic. It's all over the place. Aerosmith, when you listen to an Aerosmith song, it's an Aerosmith song. When I listen to a Queen song, I don't always know it's a Queen song because they move around. They do other things. There's a lot of experimentation.
If I may, just one more thing for me is that, just the longevity of the band. I mean, Queen is still relying on its hits from the 70s and 80s and early 90s versus, Aerosmith is still going strong. Well, maybe not strong, but they're still going and, putting out music.
Name a song in the last 10 years they've made.
Can't. Sorry.
Okay.
But still, listen.
That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything because, at least we have a band that's still performing. I mean, I saw them 5 years ago at the Budweiser place.
Queen is too.
Listen, you cannot say Adam Lambert is still original. I mean,
no, but unfortunately their lead singer is dead. So
yeah, but that's my point. As far as, I agree Queen is iconic. Okay. They've got not thousands, hundreds of songs that people probably know. I mean, it's agree.
So does Aerosmith, though.
As far as a contributing band that's still around and still making music, and honestly,
Aerosmith hasn't contributed anything since the early 2000s that anybody knows. Do you know a song since Armageddon?
Well, I don't. When was that?
Armageddon was 96 to 98.
Yeah. Do you know a song past that they used that was really reliable? Like, come on.
Not really. I can't talk to that. But you know what? Steve Tyler still up there. Frontline singer is still up there, still contributing.
The fact that they're still alive is incredible.
Here's the problem with Queen. Okay, Queen should have stayed dead. When they brought back Adam Lambert, to me,
I will agree with you on that. Yeah,
I don't like. They
should have just let things be dead.
Back. Right. I mean, even with Journey. I mean,
how many versions of Dream On do we still need, though? Come on.
One more.
No, we don't need any more.
Okay. Wow. Actually, I'm quite surprised by that because this was very one-sided until one point at the end really convinced me. And I can't believe I'm saying this at all, but Aerosmith wins. I can't.
Can you tell me what that one point was?
Adam Lambert. And its legacy impacting the legacy of Queen. That's true. Gosh.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I was hoping you wouldn't go there, but he did.
Yeah.
Are you going
Good job,
sports
Adam.
or history next?
I'm going to have to see what I sent you. I'm going to let's do sports. We'll do sports next.
I told Dave going into this I was going to have a hard time with Adam.
Okay, this is an open-ended question.
Oh wait, no.
And
That's
it's-
right.
yeah.
Not your question. I'm sorry.
That is not my question. I will just say my question.
I
Okay.
got it. Here. You can say it.
I think that was a question
Okay.
from a previous show.
Yes, it was. Who is the biggest cheat in sports?
Biggest cheat in sports.
Yes.
There's a lot of them.
Wow, this was a thinker.
Can I throw it in?
I'll go with Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
I'll go with Pete Rose.
Okay. Adam, you get a little bit more time to think about your answer. Go ahead.
There you go.
I'm being generous. Pete Rose was a chap who essentially was a coach and eventually basically bet against himself. Obviously there was a lot of scandal there. I honestly don't know a lot about it because I don't follow a lot of the cheats in sports, so to speak. But my understanding is that he tried to make a lot of money off of either winning or losing, depending on what the situation was. And obviously ended up getting kicked out. And I don't even think I think he got he wasn't allowed to be in the Hall of Fame because of his actions. So obviously that's a big dinger as well, because he was obviously an athlete prior to the scandal.
Okay. Adam?
I being a big baseball fan as well, big as I like sports, but I enjoy baseball. I would say Jose Canseco. And if you remember that year where everybody was going through the home run derby, I mean, whoever's going to hit the most home runs, and there was a lot of worship around Canseco at the time, and then we found out that he was juiced up and just smacking those balls out of the park just because he's a little bit stronger than everybody else. And I found there was so much controversy, and imagine that was the biggest thing, the biggest news story, or one of the biggest news stories that year, rather than pandemics, but whether somebody could hit a baseball, but it was giant, and I thought he just fell off the pedestal of worship from kids, and it really bothered me.
Okay.
I didn't even know Jose Canseco was that, so I learned something.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be an interesting debate, and go ahead. I might have to direct it. Okay. How is Pete Rose betting against?
I can talk to Pete Rose if you like. Pete Rose to me, was a manager. I don't know if he, to me.
Well, he was a player before he was a manager.
Yeah, but what he was convicted of, I mean, not convicted, but certainly thrown out of the Hall of Fame for it was throwing the game, right? I mean, or betting. No, he was betting on his own team.
Yeah, he was betting on his own team.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Jaemeel?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
So
was doing sports betting.
right. Is that really a cheat? I don't know. I mean, I don't think that he could really manage the
cheating on betting. Because you fixed the game, so you're cheating.
But can you fix the game? Like you got a whole roster of guys that you're going out to play. You're not.
Well,
you're not
I think the White Sox prove that you definitely can fix a game.
But it takes more than one guy to be involved in the fix.
Okay.
When you're the manager and you're running the team, though, I think you can definitely actively put a hammer into things.
Why Jose Canseco? Why not Jose Canseco?
I didn't even know about this, so I can't really argue. I don't like. What did he actually do wrong? That he can hit hard, or was he on steroids? Or something? Oh, okay. So he was on steroids. So obviously, that's performance enhancing. Yeah, he cheated himself, obviously. So that I think that qualified. But I think the impact that I don't know any of the history of Jose Canseco. Quite honestly, I'm not a baseball fan. But when I think of cheats in sports, Pete Rose obviously is one of the first ones that come to my mind, just because it was so well known about it. So I think popularity wise, definitely a popular opinion. Jose Canseco, being on steroids, obviously, I still think the steroid thing is a bit of a cop out in a lot of scenarios. There's a lot of people that take various things that can't be detected. So with that, yeah, I'm sure steroids makes him better. I'm sure he, could pump iron better, stuff like that. But you still got to hit a ball. Like you still gotta do things. It's so I'm not even totally convinced that cheating is cheating in that scenario.
Okay.
Listen, one more point on this, though, Jaemeel.
One more.
Yeah, I think that Pete Rose will be forgiven one day and pardoned and put into the Hall of Fame again. I think this will happen.
Okay. All right.
It
so
should happen.
Jody wins because there
Really?
wasn't. Yeah.
I'm even surprised by that. But anyway.
I think there wasn't anything enough distinguishable regarding Jose Canseco. We were obviously able to talk more about Pete Rose and the impact on that. That's majority of the discussion. There wasn't really much rebuttal in terms of Jose Canseco. So
I just have one point, if I can make it.
Who is that?
It's Chris.
Oh,
he's back.
So for the biggest cheater, how did neither of you guys choose Tiger Woods?
Why would you choose Tiger Woods?
He cheated on his wife.
His wife. Anyways, bye.
That had nothing to do with this sport.
Bye,
Can we kick him
Chris.
off now?
Bye, Chris.
Mute his mic. We're done with him. I thought he was going to tell me it was the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You have a history question ready?
Yes.
I have a feeling Adam's going to win this one.
Okay. History. Historically, who is the best superhero team?
Okay.
Best superhero team?
Yeah.
Pop culture history, you mean? Okay.
I'm going to go with the Avengers, I guess. It's kind of a phone in, but I guess I'll do it. Obviously, we all know who the Avengers are. Consists of Iron Man, obviously, Black Widow, various others. The impact on cinema even for this ensemble is remarkable. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but clearly very profitable for in this case, I guess, Disney. So it's overall, I think you're probably dealing with one of the biggest franchises, obviously the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Avengers obviously being the tie-in to a lot of that stuff. So I think obviously they're very, very popular in this scenario.
Okay.
I don't think that popularity and dollars in the box office is the question. I'm going to go with the Justice League or Super Friends.
Sorry, please specify which one. Is it the Super Friend or is it the Justice League?
Pardon me, Super Friends, but leading into Justice League. Okay, Super Friends, as kids, to me, we were brought up on their values, their morals, fight for what's right and fight against what's wrong. And every Saturday morning, you knew you could count on these guys to take you down the path of righteousness and goodness. And bringing in guest appearances, guest stars every week, or guest superheroes was always good as well, because you got to learn about other people and tolerances for people. And I think they were the beginning of real education into what right and wrong is in terms of superheroes.
Okay, rebut.
I'm gonna let the judge decide how he interprets the question. Obviously, I interpret the question as the best superhero team. I think when you look at that, even the media presence alone for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and in this case, obviously the Avengers, is still an important part of this question. The fact that they're literally the biggest grossing superhero team, in that type of media, it says something about that. And the fact that it's a very popular franchise. I'm not discrediting the Super Friends or obviously Justice League in this scenario, other than the movie was terrible. But the overall media impact, as well as the impact of the true fans, people. I think there's a lot more fans of the Avengers than there is of Justice League or Super Friends in this scenario.
I don't see how the box office is relevant. Just in terms of you're talking about
people are paying their hard money to watch them. That right there tells you how good they are.
What? Because it looks good? Okay, forget that. Let me come back to Super Friends. Jaemeel, look at impact on your own morality as you grew up as a kid. I mean, these were good, solid role players, and I think that as that's when you're defined. And I remember those Saturday mornings, and just really enjoying that show. I couldn't wait to see it every week. We all wanted to be them. We all wanted to play them, in around the neighborhood. What a great team. And when you see when all of them are together, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Superman, that core group was just unstoppable. They never lost.
Aquaman.
Aquaman too. He was a little geeky, but I still
forgot Aquaman. I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jody, do you have any rebuts against that?
I think you make some good points. Your rose-colored glasses obviously are giving you an opinion, and that's fine. I'm looking at the hard stats. There's people that are spending their hard-earned money to watch this superhero team, and I think that definitely makes him the best. The fact that you have such fan support, such widespread support, the comics outsell as well. All these things combined, all the stuff that was there. Just leads you to believe that obviously this is the most this is the best group. This is the group that people really stand behind, spend their hard-earned money on, and I think that does something for it.
Well,
Okay.
So as a judge, Jaemeel, it's going to be morality and impact on kids' lives and stuff versus box office.
All right. So historically, this question is supposed to be who is the best superhero team. Doesn't necessarily matter as to how you attack the argument at all. It's the points that are provided and the information provided overall. So in terms of the Avengers, a lot of points about how people have reacted to the team and that everyone is aware of them. In terms of the Super Friends, heavy reliance on the morals and the impact it had on the individuals, stated that they never lost, and actually mentioned members of the team as well. I don't really believe, Jody, you mentioned anyone who was on the Avengers, really, and who consists of that team.
That's fine. Yep.
It wasn't a point that was heavily emphasized, I should state. Sorry.
Fair enough.
You are absolutely correct in terms of this is media presence and impact versus a more individual focused thing, and I have to give it to Adam on this one.
Good job, Adam.
Great job on it. It's really on how you interpret the questions. They're really open-ended on some of these questions, so that's why.
If I had gone first, I would have gone Jody's way. I'm going to say just.
But you might not have argued it the same way. You might not have
Right.
argued it the same
That's
way,
right.
and we don't know where it would have ended up. Producer, what is our next thing, or can I just run through my rest?
We're
of
going to wild card. Now, I picked one of your questions.
Ooh, producer,
I hope-
pick one.
I hope this is the one
deciding factor, right?
This is the decide. This is for all the marbles. So here we go.
Tied, so this is it.
So before we start, great job, both of you. Thank you very much. So which is better, Baskin Robbins or Dairy Queen?
Dairy Queen.
All right,
Okay.
Jody,
Should I
you
start?
are going for Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen #1 has, obviously they have the Blizzard, which is a very iconic thing. When people say they're going to go for a Blizzard, most people know what that means. Baskin Robbins, yes, has the flavors going for them. I think if you actually count the amount of things that Dairy Queen can make, I'm sure it's over 31. The flavors obviously are a big factor for Baskin Robbins. However, Dairy Queen has so many variety of product. They have the Misty Vista stuff. They got the Blizzards. They have all the dips, stuff like that. So there's so many combinations, so many things that you can make that really gives you a good variety. And I think variety is definitely important for sustainability of a business.
I think that when you look at the history of Baskin and Robbins, it's been around for 65 years. Now, I agree the fact that the Blizzards are iconic. However, that really didn't break out till the 80s. And, and if you think of who did that, Paul House, I mean, he was a great man. He went on to lead Tim Hortons for years. However, Baskin and Robbins has been a staple in Canadian households for 6 decades now. It's got all the ice cream you could possibly want. They were very revolutionary as far as the club format, where people could, you buy so many and then you get another one. And just think about loyalty that creates right there. That loyalty factor by creating the club. I can't remember what it was called, but they had you buy 12, I think, and you get a free cone for free, whatever it was. But you kept people coming back, and that again, early on in the days did create that loyalty that people were looking for. in their companies. Clean environment, always well staffed, and great samples.
Alrighty.
Can I rebut?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. You want to talk about a company that's been around long? Dairy Queen's been around since 1940. Okay. So the other thing is, I don't know if you have kids, Adam. Quite honestly, I don't remember. My kids don't ask me to go to Baskin Robbins. Okay. They've never once said that, but they fucking tell me all the time they want to go to Dairy Queen. Okay. This is when you talk about loyalty when it comes to kids. The other thing that's nice about Dairy Queen is that if, let's say, you're with your kids and your kids want the ice cream and you're not into that, you can go get a burger. You can go get some other things. They have a wide variety of product, and the benefit of that is the fact that, you know, I can always get a choice, whereas when I go to Baskin Robbins, it's ice cream. Now, yeah, that makes them a bit of a specialty, and I agree with that. And Dairy Queen is obviously a specialty as well. But when you deal with, for instance, you know, my kids have never once, as I said, asked for Baskin Robbins. They're aware of it. They know exactly where it is. It's actually closer than a Dairy Queen is to my house. But they want the Dairy Queen because they want the blizzard. They want that excitement. They want the excitement of the different varieties. They want the excitement of the mixtures. They want the different types of products. They want to be able to change that. They don't want to go and just get a fucking cone with ice cream in it. You know,
Adam?
so when you deal with that.
Adam?
All right. You know, what you say all that. And sorry, I was wrong on my date. The Baskin Robbins has been around since the 40s as well. But I will say this is that as far as just, you know, experience and your ability to sit down in a restaurant without it feeling dirty and sticky, Baskin Robbins is the place to go. It's a cleanliness, and for me, food safety is always paramount. And I just feel every time I go to the Dairy Queen, it's just dirty.
I've never had that.
And when I go to a Dairy Queen or a Baskin Robbins, I'm going for ice cream, not freaking hot dogs. And
no, but I'm saying that option's there.
Yeah, you know, but once you start diversifying, you screw yourself up. And, you know, just you can't go too far. It doesn't work. They didn't stay true to themselves. And they made their menu very complicated. And they ripped off Baskin Robbins. I mean, Baskin Robbins was the first with the ice cream cake. They were the first with just the club. And I do believe
ripping off versus improvement are two different things.
Okay, I've made my decision. Great final battle, both of you. Before a decision is made, I would like to thank both of you for your time and efforts that you've come here. Really great debate.
Thank you.
Thank you for the points and the points that you brought up. So, considering Dairy Queen, there was a lot of options that were brought up. The iconic blizzard, the variations and combinations that are available. Variety in terms of hot options as well. Baskin Robbins, you have also a lengthy period of time that it's been there, revolutionary with its clubs and introducing new products like the cake. Saying that diversifying leads to a lower step in quality. Cleanliness, that's more of opinion, just like Jody's kids loving it is an opinion. So I'm not taking those two things into it. So as you could kind of see my breaking down of information, there's a lot more points on Jody's side as opposed to yours, Adam, that really hit. So therefore, Jody, congratulations. You have won.
Thank you. I do want to say one thing, though. Well, I always want to say one thing, but Adam, you did a fantastic job as somebody who is the most winningest of everybody on this show. Your first shot out, you hit it right out of the ballpark. It was fantastic. You did great.
Yeah, and Adam, if you were more aggressive in a lot of your points, I think that you would
learn.
Yeah.
He'll learn. When he comes back, he'll be more aggressive if he comes back. Yeah. I know he will.
Now we see what works, man.
Yeah, remember, this is his first time. He's gotta ease himself in. But
yeah, what's your
what I would like to say,
Chris
is as the most losingest person on this show,
you are.
Yes.
I would not be proud that you beat me. do not build yourself up over that fact.
I'm not building myself up over anything.
What? That Adam beat you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
A couple things. Baskin Robbins has a lot of variety. Why did you mention that? It has a lot of the same, like.
I've never been to Baskin Robbins. I don't know.
Hey,
thank you.
You had me convinced. You had me convinced. I thought you did. I haven't been in one in like 10 years.
Just make that up.
I think
I thought,
You made all
Jody,
of
you were
it
going to be dead
Good for
when Adam said, once you start diversifying, you screw yourself. And I was like, oh, that's a
Actually,
good point.
That was an
That's a good
awesome
point.
burn. Awesome burn. I'm like, what
If
do I
you
do on
also
that
said,
one?
I want ice cream, not soft serve, then I'd have been.
That could have worked.
Yeah,
That could have worked
that's
too.
a
Yeah,
good point.
because everything at Dairy Queen is based on soft serve. So
No, true.
that's
Very true.
Very, very true point. Yep.
Okay, great job, everyone. Okay, I got to do the plugs now for it.
There's plugs?
So, yeah, there's plugs. I said I was going to mention the plugs at the end. This is we're near the end, right?
Yes, we
so,
Look at how
make
big
sure.
Jaemeel is now.
I know, big head. Great job, everyone.
I wasn't implying that.
Please, folks, remember to return to listen to Trivial Debates. It happens on the last weekend of the month. You'll get more hard-hitting debates that you will be able to listen to. Please listen to it on our podcasts available on Spotify and various other places. Our home on YouTube, and where you can always watch it. Go back and watch the various other debates that occurred. Watch the ones I'm involved. More the first one, not the second one when I teamed up with Chris. That was not a good time.
That was a good one.
Fun for us.
I don't remember. I don't remember who won that one, but
It was you and Kevin won that one.
It was you.
I'm surprised. But anyway,
All right. At the same time, watch the other great podcasts as well, as such as Live Long and Podcast, Star Trek TV and movie reviews. On Tuesdays, there's DS9 at 9ish. On Wednesdays, there's TED Trek, where they watch the original series of various episodes of the original series. On Thursday, it's Disco Night, where they watch Star Trek Discovery. And then on Disco Night. And sometimes on the weekend, it might be on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, they have Star Trek Radio Theater, where they take an old script from Star Trek and the wonderful cast that you see on the various podcasts perform different roles on it, and they bring the theater of the ear to you. And then also you have
just wanted to show it here while you're plugging it. Make sure to check out December 12th, when we're going to be doing the finale of season 1 of Star Trek Radio Theater, where we're going to be doing Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home with many of the people, or at least a couple of the people who are on here today. So just wanted to call that out.
Don't you dare miss it. In addition, you have the Super Meta Brothers podcasting, which has scripted and reality TV reviews. We just recently got off of Big Brother. There's a variety of shows you can go back into the back catalog and listen to, including Westworld. So check that out. And Survivor.
Survivor and Big Brother. Yep.
Yeah.
Check all those out.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I was your host, Jaemeel. I thank my producer, Dave, who was excellent in kind of keeping things organized. And last but not least, the contestants, which make the content of this show. Jody, our winner. Adam, our great runner-up. And Chris, that plucky upstart that one day we're still pulling that he will actually have a run of wins. He's
the underdog. We want to win.
Yeah.
He's a late bloomer.
One day that scamp's gonna win.
All right.
Let's
get out of here.
He's the lovable scamp. That's what we should call him now.
Yes.
Adam's like